So they asked him, why didn't you think that was partisan? Well, we're inquiring, I did note it. Did you ask Lois Lerner about it? No. That's blatant partisanship, but it goes a step further. How about an email where she's responding to her entire staff, and on number 1 point says, Tea Party, very dangerous. Cincy, which they blame, remember the Cincinnati office, should, in all caps, not be involved. So she lied in her statement, she showed partisanship in her emails, and the new acting commissioner of the IRS still refused to acknowledge what she apologized for was partisan. There's no evidence that the liberal groups face additional scrutiny. There are reasons why the IRS should deny some groups. Let me tell you, my dad was a tax attorney, that's how I started, with the IRS. So did Michelle Bachman. They'll tell you there are some groups that apply who should not get C3 status, that should be C4s. There's some who applies for C4 that should be 527s. And that's okay. But what did they do to our clients? They just didn't answer them. And then they would send them letters like, for instance, the average liberal applicant received 4 questions from the IRS when they applied for C4 status. Usually 4 questions from the IRS has 3 or 4 subparts, so let's give them the max, 16. The average conservative group that applied for C4 status, this was all compiled by the House Government Oversight Committee, 18 questions with 4 subparts each. Okay, so 4, which was 16, or 80, basically, questions. Literally, for one of our clients applied and is still waiting for an answer from the IRS in December of 2009. They haven't told them no, it's the Albuquerque Tea Party, but they haven't told them yes either. Then they tried to come back and give them this new thing, we'll give you a deal. We'll let you self-certify yourself as a C4. But you've got to sign, by penalty of perjury, that 60% of your activities won't be political. But why? The standard that the IRS set in the 1950s was 49.9 can be political, just not the majority. So our groups got a special favor after waiting 4 years by having to meet a higher standard than liberal groups who got approved. By the way, every liberal group they said was targeted got approved. The only liberal groups that ever been rejected during this time period are ones that were literally saying on their website, we're here to train Democrat candidates. Those groups should be denied. And if you said you're here to train Republican candidates, your group should get denied too. You're not a C4, C3. It could be 527, something like that. That's it. Every other progressive group was approved. So let me just put it this way, okay? This administration in New Hampshire, you play a really important role. There's a reason why I'm up here today. There's a reason why Congressman King, and I know I was working with him, was trying to do his best, but they have to vote today, try to figure out what's going on in Washington. Did his best to get up here today. And it's not because of presidential politics, currently. But it is about presidential politics in the future. You know, I've spent time here working on political campaigns in the past before I was the ACLJ. And I love being in places like New Hampshire because even unlike Washington, it's not just an enjoyment of politics, but you expect more from politicians. And a lot of people in a lot of states don't have the experience to do that. They don't have the relationship. They don't get the president walking down, or possible president walking down the street. But by doing so, you expect more. You're good judges. That's why the RNC is ensured that you'll be the first in the nation primary. Which, by the way, let me just say, makes us very excited. Because we think folks in New Hampshire, you combine it with the caucus in Iowa, it gives us a clear picture. But we've got a problem here, folks. If we don't get this changed, I'm talking right now as Jordan Sekulow. If things don't change, we are heading in a direction that is going to be very hard to reverse. And let me tell you why very quickly. If one conservative retires on the Supreme Court during just this administration, my dad, who is 57 years old, will have a liberal court for the first time in his career, where they could go back in his 12 cases argued, 10 which he won, and the ones that were close could all be changed again. All that work over 30 years. If a Democrat is reelected again for president in 2016, there will certainly be a shift on the court. So it doesn't matter what laws passed by Congress. They'll override them. Because unlike our appointees, unfortunately sometimes, the liberal appointees to the courts, they're not sitting there thinking about, oh, do I really have the power to do this or not? It's partisan politics. I mean, I was at the court on Monday, by the way, not shut down, and you can pick exactly where they're going. The left. The conservative judges or justices are doing their job. They're really analyzing it. Sometimes we like what they do. Sometimes we're very disappointed with what they do, like Chief Justice Roberts, which I don't want to go down that road right now. But we can't lose faith, because we are seeing what happens, even with a House Republican majority. The Senate is up for grabs, so we have to work hard there across the country. But you have an important role coming up, and that is to help the nation pick the conservative candidate. So as that process begins, and I know people say, oh, we don't want to start talking about that again, but we need to. Because there's a couple of reasons why. One, the House and the Senate will likely stay divided. And that means not much is going to change. We may have a Supreme Court retiree or two, you never know what will happen there. But we have a chance. We have a chance with this one. Obamacare, how's it doing in New Hampshire, by the way? How's the rollout been in New Hampshire? Is the website working? Can you enroll?
What rollout?
Yeah, right. Now, do you have the federal program here or your state program? Oh, so you get the really bad treatment. You saw that video yesterday with Kathleen Sebelius went down with the owner of Pittsburgh Steelers, and they were going to enroll people, 200 people. Not one person got enrolled. They had 20 staff, hundreds of computers. They couldn't get one person enrolled. Literally. This is and this administration is acting like it's Republicans. This is during a shutdown, by the way, that Kathleen Sebelius is doing this. As you can tell, I went a little off script today, because you really can't go through everything bad. I mean, by the time I look down at my phone again in my email on the way back home today, it'll change again. There'll be another email. There'll be another scandal. And the truth is, we can't trust our Justice Department to take these people. If Lois Lerner was going to be their person they blame, she'd already be in real trouble. So it's likely that she's going to point up. And I think that's why she may get granted immunity, which we would support if she will point up. Now, if she's the top, she needs to go to jail. But Sarah Hall Ingram, and I'm going to close with this and we'll go to question and answer. When she did her testimony this week, and it didn't get a lot of coverage, it was on C-SPAN 3, which we get in Washington. You may be able to watch online. Maybe New Hampshire, you deserve it up here. But she gave this hearing in the testimony. Now, she runs Obamacare. And they asked her, do you know how much the penalty is for the individual mandate? She said, no, I'm not aware. They said, do you know what it is for businesses and why they were exempted per employee? No. Do you know the standard? No. This is the one who claims she didn't have anything to do with the targeting, though she was still the head of exempt organizations when the IRS targeting began in 2010. And then switched immediately over to run the healthcare law for the IRS. Remember when Lois Lerner said in her first interview, I'm just not good with numbers? It's the IRS. So she didn't know that. And then they asked her about the HHS mandate. Because again, it's the IRS who enforces all of the penalties, right? It's a tax, like the Supreme Court told us. And they get all of our personal data, which they're sharing. And they said, do you know about the HHS mandate? How much that costs an employer who doesn't qualify right now? And you may not know, it's $100 a day per employee if you don't provide all the contraceptives, including some which have been deemed abortifacients. As an organization, we don't think that a company should not be able to provide that if it's legal. But to say that a company must provide that is a violation. Even private companies. That's why our lawsuits that we're winning, we're 7-0 on injunctions. These are all private companies. They're not churches or Christian organizations. They're private businesses. Mostly Catholic, but not all. Some who have provided some kinds, but don't want to provide the RU46 coverage or the actual abortion pill, or have never provided. By the way, their employees voluntarily take the job, and they can still purchase. But yet, she didn't know the penalty. That penalty is actually higher than the individual mandate. If we don't reverse that, hobby, for instance, example, you have 100 employees, $100 a day. You're talking about $36 million fine.
Croc TV.